Hi, thanks for watching. So today we're going to cover the emergency stop. So that's our lesson theme. We've got our PDI who's been studying this and been practicing on her own, and now she's going to deliver the lesson to her trainer, me, who will play the role of the pupil. So we're going to get that started in a minute. So have a watch, see what you think, and throughout the video I'll pause it and we can talk about what's going well, what's not going so well, and ways that we can improve this lesson. So we're looking to deliver a lesson that's a good lesson, good value to the pupil, where learning takes place and that the goals are achieved. Okay, so let's look at the briefing.
As we spoke about last week, so today we're going to do a controlled stop or emergency stop.
Brilliant.
So obviously this is something that will only normally happen in an emergency. We obviously try to drive so that we can see hazards as much as possible, so that this doesn't have to happen. But obviously it's something we'd have to practice just to make sure that we can do it as controlled as possible. So
Got it, yeah.
So that's why we're on this road. This road's ever so good for that because it's quite quiet, so we can do it we can do it safely. So there's some things we need to talk about beforehand. Emergency stop. What we're gonna do to get. I'm already getting myself tongue-tied already. So we need to be have quick reactions, and we need to be in full control. Okay, so if something happened, say a child ran out into the road chasing a ball, how do you feel you would react? What would you do to
brake?
You'd brake.
Slam the brakes on.
Slam those brakes on. Okay, well, we don't really want to try and do that if we can help it. Slam the brakes on.
All right.
We try to use progressive braking. So if you liken it to when you walk upstairs, when you put your foot on the stair and you push your weight up, unless you've had a round, you're stomping up the stairs, but if you're just walking up the stairs, you put your foot on the step and you push yourself up to the next step. That's the kind of pressure we want to put. So we want to stand on the brake rather than a slam.
Ow.
Yeah, because I mean that's going to have a real jolty reaction, isn't it? I mean, an emergency stop is going to do that anyway, but we want to try and be more controlled. So we want a proper progressive push down on and stand on that brake. So with this particular car we've got ABS. Do you know what ABS is at all?
I was, because I've been revising for my theory.
Oh, okay, lovely.
I've booked it now.
Fantastic.
Finally, I've got it in 3 weeks.
Oh, okay, lovely. So we can practice some hazard perception, which would go nicely with this.
All right, yeah.
So,
and there was a question on ABS, and it's something to do with it's a brake anti-lock.
It is anti-lock braking system. Yeah, exactly. Do you know what it does at all? Do you remember the question at all?
Not exactly. It was something to do with, because it's multiple choice, and it said something about, it was about ABS and what was like the main benefit of it.
Okay, yeah.
And I can only remember 2 of the options, because I asked my mum and she was like, oh, we weren't sure. So one was, does it help you like stop more quickly? Okay. There was one about could you steer, helps you steer or something. Okay. I forget what the other 2 was. So we pretty much thought, well, it's going to help you stop quicker.
Right. No, unfortunately it doesn't.
Okay.
For the anti-lock braking system, it's going to help us steer. It's going to give us the ability to steer whilst we're braking hard, because with the brakes, when you press down hard on the brakes, they could lock, and when they lock, you lose the ability to steer, and we don't want that. We want to be able to control the car whilst we are braking hard, because we could be skidding. We may need to get out of that skid.
Oh, I see.
So
if you look, like on my push bike, whenever I skid, did a front wheel skid, fell off. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, if the wheel's skidding, you couldn't steer, could you?
Exactly.
Just like Yeah, no, that does make sense.
Yeah, so that's what we want to do. We want to be able to. So ABS is another way of saying it allows you, A, to brake, B, and steer. So that's ABS. It's a good way of remembering it. Allows you to brake hard and steer. Yeah, so it's quite a good way of remembering it.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to need to do today. We're going to brake hard progressively, and I need you to stay on it, not slam on it. No,
so that
not slam on it.
Skid, would it?
We're not going to make it skid, but it could just do. It's just not a good way of trying to get the words out now. So the next part of doing a control stop and an emergency stop is normally when we come up to a junction.
Yeah.
What would be the first thing we do in our MSN routine?
Mirrors.
We would check our mirrors. In an emergency stop, would we want to check our mirrors?
When a kid run out, no, I wouldn't have thought.
No, exactly. So that's something I don't want you to do. I would like you to just look forward when we're doing the emergency stop. So don't look for your mirrors. We're going to concentrate on stopping.
Braking.
Yeah. And stop him. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
With your hands.
Yeah.
I'd like you to keep them on the steering wheel. Okay. So because we need the anti-lock braking is going to be coming in, so the steering we're going to need to be able to control it. Because if we do skid, we would need the steering, and it also braces yourself as well, so it keeps you safe. Sort of rather than because you can. It's a little bit. You could have a little bit more of a little bit more of a grip as well, so that you can brace yourself a little bit. So
you won't have a steering wheel to hand.
No.
Okay,
so
keep my hands on the wheel.
So it'd be eyes forward, hands on the wheel.
Don't check the mirrors.
Don't check your mirrors, and then
Brake.
it's going to be your feet. So with the braking, once you progressively press down on the brake.
Yeah.
As you come to a stop, I need you to put the clutch down. If we do that, that should help the car not stall. Now,
so as I come to a stop.
Yeah. So as when we would come up to a junction in your braking, and then as you come up, as you're slowing down, you would then pop the clutch down as you're braking.
What, before I stop? Or as I stop?
Before you stop.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry,
That was stop,
my apologies. Of course it would.
All right, yeah. So,
brake hard, progressively, and then before you come to a stop, push the clutch down. Now, if you don't and we stall, that won't matter, but it would help if you. Because then afterwards, the situation of getting yourself out of the position that you're in the road, if the car is still running, we can secure the car and then use our POM routine and then move to a safe position. But if it's stalled, it doesn't matter, we'll just add in the extra, start the car.
Alright, so if it's stalled, not to worry too much.
Yeah, don't worry too much. And we're trying to not let that happen.
So brake, then clutch before I stop.
Because if we stall it as well, obviously everything shuts down, so we have no control over the steering and
the start.
Yeah, so if if we can keep it from not stalling, that would be aces. But it doesn't matter if it doesn't. So don't panic about that, because as we practice it, it will come anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
So. So for the first attempt, obviously, once we've done the stop, we'll secure the car, handbrake neutral, and then obviously if it has stalled, we'll then go through the whole routine of starting the car up with the POM routine, and then we'll move off and we'll park somewhere safely, obviously with full check, so it's a proper POM routine check. So 6-point check. We'll check everything, because obviously we want to make sure you're going to be in the middle of the road slightly. We've got to double check that no one's trying to go around you, because that could happen.
So do you want me in the middle of the road?
No, my apologies, but we'll be in our driving position.
Oh, right.
So we'll be in the centre of our lane. Sorry, I didn't describe that very well.
I thought you wouldn't want me to do that. But I thought I'd ask.
Yeah, it would be in the centre of our lane, would be from normal driving position, so it gives the opportunity for cycles and motorbikes and stuff to come around, so a proper full check. And then we'll move off to somewhere safe. On the first attempt, also, we'll go up to second gear, but I don't want you to go any more than about 20 miles an hour. So we're just going to go nice and slowly, just so it's nice and easy so we can concentrate on what we're going to do. I'm going to then ask you to check your mirrors, centre, left and right, and just see if it's safe, if there's anything behind us. And if you say it's safe, I'm then going to do my check around, and then I'm going to give the command, which will be stop with a hand signal as well. So I will say stop together. So if you ever hear me go stop, that's not an emergency stop. Or if you see me wave to someone, which I'll try not to. Just say put my hand up. Yeah, so it will. I will never.
You're going to do that today then?
No, I'm not going to do that today.
Right.
So today it's literally stop with the hand signal. Okay, that's the only time I would like you to do the emergency stop. But I will also always involve you. I'll always ask you to make sure that it's safe to do so.
Have a look.
You will have a look, then I will do my checks, then I will give the command to stop.
Okay.
How does that sound? Would you like to give it a go? Awesome. Yeah. Okay, so out of roll.
Okay, so that's the end of the briefing delivered by the PDI. So it's a little bit long, 10.5 minutes, so we could shorten that up, and it needed a little bit more structure. The briefing was a little bit muddled and the goals could be much clearer. So let's have a look at how we can improve that. Okay, so goal setting needs to be much clearer. We could use SMART objectives. So let's take the S from SMART and be specific. So in this lesson, where we're looking at the emergency stop, I would say something like this to the pupil. So today you're going to learn how to stop the car as quickly and as safely as possible in an emergency situation. We could then move on to the rest of the SMART objectives by thinking how that would be measurable, how achievable it is, how realistic, and how much time we will spend on that today. So the reason the briefing was quite long is because it was quite muddled. And what I mean by that, early on in the briefing, the instructor got bogged down into a conversation about controlling skids and ABS. So once we've set a clear goal, a clear theme for the lesson, we need to structure it, and we need to share this with our pupil so we can provide a lesson overview of how we're going to break down this lesson before delivering the briefing. So in this example, the emergency stop, I would explain to the pupil that to achieve our objective, we're going to break the lesson down into 5 parts. We're going to look at the prevention of emergency stops, and then we're going to look at how to perform the emergency stop itself, how to secure the car afterwards, move it away safely after an emergency stop, and then, if there's time, how to control skids, for example. So now we've got a clear structure to follow. So once I've shared the overview with the pupil, I would then get into the full briefing using Q&A technique, because they're already going to possess a lot of the knowledge that they need to do this, but not quite in the context of an emergency stop. So lots of Q&A. So for example, I would draw on what the pupil already knows. They already know how to stop the vehicle. So rather than brief them on that and getting bogged down into too much detail and telling the pupil, I would just ask or say to the pupil, look, you already know how to stop the vehicle. So what would be different in the event of an emergency stop? What would you need to do differently in that event? And then let them talk, because they're probably going to say, well, I need to press the brake a lot firmer or quicker, or whatever they say. And then we as the instructor can respond and correct and guide them through what they should be doing so they have complete understanding. For example, how are you going to press that brake? When would the clutch go down? Are you going to check your mirrors? Why? What are you going to be doing with your hands? And so this will move quite quickly, and the briefing will be cut down in time because we're already drawing on what the pupil already knows, and just add in the bits that they don't, filling in the gaps, and then learning will take place. It's more interactive and the pupil will be interested. Another tip to shorten the briefings and get your pupil practicing sooner would be to structure the lesson slightly differently. So for example, the prevention of emergency stops, we could have used the time driving to the location to theme our lesson on that goal, on how to prevent hazard awareness, hazard perception. And that would get rid of that little section, before we start talking about the emergency stop. Likewise, at the end, the controlling of skids. Well, do the briefing on how to do an emergency stop, let them have a couple of goes, and then introduce skidding and ABS. Okay, another point worthy to mention, the PDI just needs to be very clear on what they say. There was a sentence there where they said we're going to be stopping slightly in the middle of the road, and the pupil could have misinterpreted that and taken them literally. Obviously, I, as you heard, in roll asked for clarification about where I would be doing this, and then it was corrected. So just be aware that some pupils may take you literally and do that and just get a bit confused. In terms of risk, that was managed well. I like the way that the instructor for the first attempt wanted to control the lesson or the pupil by using second gear and 20 miles an hour, just while they find their feet and get into it. For the first one, that was good. And in terms of the signal for the emergency stop, the pupil was encouraged to share responsibility and be aware of their surroundings before doing this. So I liked that. Okay, so let's look at the first practice run.
Okay. Right, so if you want to prepare the car, do your POM routine. And like we said earlier, we're only going to go up to second gear, keep it about 20 miles an hour, do it nice and slowly, okay?
Okay.
So when you're ready, if you want to move off. Secure the car, keep your feet still, handbrake neutral. Lovely. Okay, so if we want to do our POM routine, again, find your lovely, cover the, yep, brilliant. We're going to check round 6, double check, make sure everything's okay.
Yeah.
Lovely. Drive on, pull over, just before we get to this junction.
Oh, this little drop curb thing?
Just before there, so just about here, just before we get to the drop curb. Okay, lovely. How are you feeling? Okay?
Yeah, good. Well,
I didn't really want to ask you any questions while we're in the middle of the road, so I thought if we just moved over, then we can just chat about it. So, yeah, it's a little bit scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you did great, and the car didn't stall, so yeah, perfect.
No, remember to get the clutch down.
Yeah, no, you did a great job. So yeah, no, so that's out of roll.
Before the first practice, the instructor needs to agree with the pupil the level of instruction that will be given. So how much help does the pupil need for each part of the emergency stop? So they've already had the briefing on how to perform the emergency stop. So a conversation could be had about who's going to do that. Is there time for the instructor to talk the pupil through the actual stopping exercise? Well, not really. So responsibility for that could be given to the pupil once the instructor says stop and does the signal. Then as regards securing the car, again, a conversation could be had with the pupil. So who will be responsible for securing the car once we've done that? Do you want me to remind you to do this, or can I give you responsibility for that? So we need to think about this level of instruction. Are we going to give full level of instruction? Do they need it at this stage? Are we going to agree to prompt the pupil, or do we need to give them independence? So again, a conversation to agree this level. Again, with moving off, there was a prompt to use the POM routine. But if we agree this before, then the pupil can take more responsibility. If at any point the pupil doesn't perform what they should be doing, then yes, of course, the instructor needs to manage risk and and jump in and give input and say, oh, hang on a minute, before you move off, I need to remind you where you're going to look, for example. So this came across as over instruction in parts, and most importantly, we need to agree with the pupil before doing the exercise. So the next thing we need to talk about is giving feedback to the pupil. So the instructor, once pulled up in a safe place, said that it was perfect. We need to encourage the pupil to self-analyse what they've just done. So what I would be asking the pupil once they're in a safe place is ask them how they feel, because they may be feeling a bit sick, a bit shaken up. They might go into fight or flight mode, because it is quite an adrenaline rush doing an emergency stop. Ask them how they feel. Ask them what they feel they did well, what they didn't do so well, and what they would need to do differently to make it better. So have a conversation and get the pupil to self-reflect, self-analyse on how they feel they did, and then you can truly improve performance and achieve the goals of the lesson. The instructor here was just saying too much and sort of saying well done, and I understand why the instructor might do that to sort of encourage the pupil, but we need to give good honest feedback and, yeah, like I say, encourage the pupil to talk and think about how they just did. So if we look at the clip, the pupil's fault, if you like, was that they just didn't break progressively enough. They just stopped normally. So we could identify the fault during our analysis, get the pupil to think about the consequences of not breaking quickly enough if a child had just run out, and what are we going to do differently next time to get that sorted out. Okay, so that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Please like if you did, subscribe for future content, and please let us know what you thought in the comments section and what you'd like to see next. Until next time, I'll see you then.